Hello and welcome to Movie Film Studios, the only podcast that takes you inside the mind of two film studio executives as we unravel and then re-ravel the best that Hollywood has to offer. I'm Isaac.
And I'm AJ, and this week we infiltrated a drug cartel to search for our missing daughter, who was caught stealing secret alien weapon technology. But before we get into something new, it's time for something old as we check in on our last feature in Box Office Report. Now, last week we released the thriller mystery film Girl Stop, Spy Stop, Cold Stop, starring every single female actor that we know.
Yes.
And also directed and written by, I think we had Catherine Bigelow
was
came
on board,
in to direct. Now, Isaac, how did that film fare?
Phenomenally well.
I would assume so.
It made exactly 72% of a film of the profits that you would expect from a film starring all men.
Yep. Oh no. That is Hollywood, fix that shit, okay? Because that's terrible.
I mean, so truthfully, we didn't have a lot to do with this film. We came up with this, the kernel of the idea, and we passed it off, washed the dirt off our hands, and tried to have as little to do with it as possible.
Yep.
I think, and this may not be good for our own image, it may be why the film was so successful. The fact that, we had a lot of very successful and talented directors and writers behind it.
And there actors as well.
Yeah, just no sign of our...
trademark frivolity and stupidity. None of that.
Yeah, I mean, so fingers crossed for awards. There is enough people in there that either deserve Oscars or have been previously nominated, or there's so many categories we could get nods in. Come on, this year's got to be it.
It's got to be it. We've got it. Yeah, I mean, we probably won't even get the award for it though.
No, this is the point. Actually, now that you mention it, why do we
care?
We're not going to get any recognition.
Yeah. Effectively, this was like our competitor released a great film.
Even the studio that we've had to come up with a shell corporation studio just that it doesn't say made by Movie Film Studios, because I think the powers that be have a bit of an allergy when they see that at the start of films. We haven't discussed this before. At the start of all films, how there's like a 3 or 4 second animation that comes up. What's ours again?
What's ours?
I haven't seen it for a while.
Oh gosh. Well, it's okay. Well, it starts off. There's two stylized animated characters that sort of run on from left of frame. Yeah. Right now they represent us, but they're really like abstract. So they're kind of like two rectangles. One has sort of a gingery kind of beard, or what seems to be a gingery kind of beard. The other one has like a scraggly, darker kind of beard.
And with glasses.
They run on and they start building like a little film studio on the ground there with their bare hands. And then they run inside, and then all these film canisters sort of spill out of the chimney.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Film canisters.
Yeah. They just like spew out of the chimney, Willy Wonka style.
So the steam is more like spooled film with like little puncture holes along the side of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's ringing a bell now. I think. Who did we commission to do that?
Brad Bird, director of The Incredibles.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He really cheapened out on the animation quality.
We also didn't pay him that much, so it may go some way.
At least I think it was Brad Bird. I mean, his name's kind of common. We got a Brad Bird.
Bird.
That was the.
I miss our Stephen King. I wish he could have come with us. Stephen V. King.
Yeah.
I wish he'd come with us, but
there's
plenty of other Stephen Kings in the sea. If we really wanted another one, we could go out and find one.
We have a Brad Bird now.
A Brad Bird as well. Yeah,
that's great. Okay. All right, on to this week in trailers. First up on the list this week is Loving Pablo, directed by Fernando Leon de Aranoa. If you're listening to this podcast, Fernando, I apologize for mispronouncing your name. And starring Javier Bardem, Penelope Cruz, Peter Sarsgaard?
Sarsgaard.
He's not Skarsgård.
He's married to Maggie Gyllenhaal. They've got more like double A's in their collective names than is seemly. Having said that, my name's Isaac. It's got a double A. Double A's are the best.
Yeah. Maybe Sarsgaard was booted out of the Skarsgård family, and as part of that, you lose the K.
Yeah.
The special K is gone.
The special K that gives the Skarsgårds their power. So this is another story of a the Mexican drug war that has been so prevalent.
Yeah.
You've had Sicario, you've had Narcos,
Yep.
you've had I want to say Medellin, but I'm pretty sure Medellin is the fake version of the film that they do in Entourage,
Probably,
starring
yeah.
Vinny Chase, which is actually the first place I ever heard the word Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like a joke kind of thing that they were doing in 2004 or whenever Entourage sort of first came out. And it's just like the drugs through the streets of America, just run rampant through Hollywood. Films about Mexican drug cartels.
Yeah, it seems to be a popular thing at the moment, and I guess politically in the US at the moment, it kind of makes sense that all these films are sort of coming out to try and show maybe a realer side of the drug war than perhaps what is thought of over there. I wouldn't know. I've never been part of the Mexican cartel. But this is about Pablo Escobar and I believe a reporter who wrote a memoir about her time with Pablo and the kind of crazy situations that she got up in. And by crazy, I don't mean haha, fun, levity, infused hijinks. I mean like being shot at, frequent run-ins with the US Border Patrol drug people, and various other calamities.
There's lots of shots in this trailer of people on motorbikes driving up to the windows of cars and using submachine guns to kill people in the back of the cars.
Yep.
And then I think there's also shots of them training to do that. That like set up like fake dummies, and it's like this is like somewhere like what's A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger?
Heath Ledger,
in the middle of the film, they have to do like a training montage where they set up dummies of the knights that they're trying to take over. I'm like, this is probably not a training montage,
Maybe
but
not.
It feels like it is.
Or is it like every James Bond film where he does his briefing with Q?
Yes.
And they have to show all the gadgets that he will then use at some point in the film.
Exactly. I was like, oh, your tires have spikes so that they can... What's that for? It's good for driving on ice. Will I be driving on ice on this mission? Well, undoubtedly. Because, like, for some reason, your car only has the gadgets that they need for the improbable situations that you're happening to be in.
Unless you're watching GoldenEye, where they give Bond, like, this beautiful... Well, I guess for the time, BMW Z3, they say, yep, it's got rocket launchers, it's got ejector seats, it's got all this stuff. He uses it exactly once, and that's to drive up a dusty road, and that's it.
Oh, really?
It's never used again.
Perfect.
But yeah, let's talk about Loving Pablo.
I really thought this was going to be one of those films that we sort of touched on with the stripped / striped, where there's a culture of taking creatives like... Mary Shelley or...
So you thought this was going to be about Pablo Picasso?
I really did think it was going to be about Pablo Picasso. And then when I saw Javier Bardem with his like overweight guy with a mustache, I'm like, yeah, I could probably see Javier Bardem playing Pablo Picasso. I'm pretty sure Picasso didn't have a mustache, but maybe there's some period in his life where he did that I'm not aware of.
Maybe. Who knows? Okay. That is Loving Pablo. Pablo. Sometime later this year, I guess. It's been out actually last year in various film festivals and stuff, but wider release some point this year. Okay, film number 2 for this week's episode is Searching, starring John Cho and directed by, again, I'm going to apologize to this director, Anish Chaganty? Sure, that'll do. And this is a sort of kind of like a found footage kind of film, but centered only around social media.
So it's got what are the other found footage films of Blair Witch, Cloverfield?
Yeah.
This seems to be set entirely on a desktop screen.
Yeah.
As they go through folders to reveal, photos from parties, and then you can scroll through and reveal information, searching through Facebook friend lists to see the friends' Skype calls. There seems to be constantly a video running in like the right-hand third or right-hand half of the film, which is always like John Cho Skype calling in with detectives or watching YouTube videos.
So the story of this film, just before we go on, is John Cho's daughter has gone missing, and he is now trying to track her down using Facebook and her friends' contact list and all that kind of stuff. So the entire film is just footage of a computer screen, essentially, which I believe was a concept for a short film at some point a couple of years back, and has clearly been adapted into a full feature. I'm not sure if the concept of the found footage will like last for an entire film. I feel like you're just going to be like, why is that bit recorded? Like, I feel like the filmmakers at some point are going to go, well, normally this wouldn't be recorded, but for the sake of this film, it has to be recorded, so why not?
I kind of felt as though the same gimmick for Birdman, which is like a one-take film.
Yeah.
Like, surely you can't keep this up for the entire film. And they did, and they kind of made it work. But I'm just like, was it the best way of telling that story, or was it a gimmick that was propping up a reasonably average story?
Oh, that's contentious because I don't agree with you at all on that one. But like, I think if it's...
It was interesting.
Yeah.
But they built the film around the gimmick. They didn't have an important story to tell that could only be told with a one-camera shot. I mean, to be fair, Birdman did a really good job of interweaving that. They interwove the drum soundtrack, which was prevalent through...
Yeah.
Like, can they really keep up this sort of percussive thing through the entire film? Yeah, they could. Could they really keep up the one-shot thing? Yeah, they could. Could they do a good story about the deterioration of a person around it?
Yeah, but I think that worked because Birdman is kind of like a play, and that's the whole point of it. Whereas this
You can't cut away from a play.
Yeah, this is going to have cuts all over it.
It's still... This is missing person, missing daughter, which we've seen hundreds of times before.
Yeah.
Does it need to be told through social media? No. Is it a gimmick that kind of props up a reasonably mediocre film? Again, sorry, Birdman, I'm not saying you're reasonably mediocre. But yeah, kind of. Am I going to watch it? Absolutely not.
No, I'm not. That's the thing, like, what's the conclusion of this story going to be? Like, it's such a simple premise.
So there's hints in the trailer that the daughter's been in money laundering or possibly drug dealing, that she hasn't been going to study groups, she's been living a secret life, and maybe John Cho never knew her daughter at all.
Yeah.
It could have a good conclusion.
Maybe.
But I'm just not interested.
But, like, happy ending, sad ending, depressing ending, I can't...
She's not going to be dead, but there's going to be something going on there.
It's going to be horrible at some point.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's compelling. It's really
Probably
weird seeing John Cho in a role like this. Who was in a film last week that was playing a serious role? Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yeah.
The Catcher Was a Spy. Is a sort of thing like, you should be exclusively in comedic roles and you're not. And John Cho here, I'm like, when's it going to start getting funny? I'm like, it's just absolutely not.
But here's the other problem with this film as well. The only other notable actor in this film is Deborah Messing, who... for the most part, I only think of as a comedic actress because she was in... Was it Will and Grace?
Will and Grace,
Will and
I
Grace,
think, yeah.
So you've got two comedic actors who pretty much comprise of the entire cast, aside from a whole bunch of unknown kids, both in a serious role, but both renowned for their comedy.
Yeah.
Is that a thing to do these days? I mean, I know that certain comedy actors... tend to do drama really, really well. I'm thinking of like the Robin Williams back in the day, Jim Carrey as well.
Did a breakout, yeah.
Is this a thing for comedians? Is this our next step, maybe?
I don't know.
We're not funny enough, I don't think.
Maybe not. I mean, I'm just trying to think what comedy stuff John Cho's done of note, but it's really just Harold and Kumar,
isn't it? Yeah.
Did Cheech Marin ever try and do a missing daughter / Gone Girl kind of film? I'm not really sure. So
maybe. Oh, there's still time. There is still time.
I know Tommy Chong did.
Did he?
Yeah, he was. Did. You were saying that I was going to make something up. I'm like, no, but your did he actually thought like sounded like you thought I was telling a fact. I'm like, he did the prequel to Taken. No, it'd be great though. I'd probably watch that film.
What is the prequel to Taken?
I mean, it's just like the sequels to Taken. It's just the same thing over and over again.
All right, okay. That's Searching out later this year. Last film for this week's episode. More of a brand name one. This one it is The Predator.
The Predator.
Yes.
Officially the fourth one in the franchise.
Yes,
as well,
it is.
Apparently,
and actually sits within the canon of other Predator films that have come out since 1987, yeah. So this sits in between Predator 2 and Predators, the one with Adrian Brody and Lawrence Fishburne, I think was
Lawrence Fishburne, Michelle Rodriguez, Topher Grace.
That's right.
It's got quite a lot of... That's a really good film as well. I mean, I've watched it a couple of times. I didn't expect anything from it.
Yep.
And it's very much... If the battle royale games are like really popular at the moment on computer, so you know people are dropped into a space and they have to survive as things are trying to kill them. That's what this film is.
Okay.
The issue being, I don't know why they're saying that is this new film Predator. It's called The Predator. It is essentially Predator 4, just as Predators is essentially Predator 3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, as it goes Predator. Predator 2, Predators, The Predator.
Yep.
They're going to run out of definite articles. And it's just going to be Predators with a question mark at the end of it.
Then they'll go into like adjectives and it'll be predatory.
Predatorial. It's sort of set in a way where it doesn't fit into a timeline at all. It could be the future, it could be the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they're saying this fits before, unless there's crossover characters.
Possibly.
Maybe that's what they're sort of suggesting, is that at some point the characters that you see in this film are going to be abducted and put into a battle royale thing. Yeah. And they may have died in Predators, but are now alive in The Predator.
Maybe. You mentioned that you can't really see a sort of dedicated timeline, but this trailer does seem to put it in a sort of relatively modern context, a sort of modern day Earth.
So no, I'm suggesting that Predators didn't have a fixed place. So it could be anyway. This
one does
very much. This happened in 2018.
Yeah, absolutely
in Oregon.
Okay.
In October 31st.
That's correct.
Because it's got a Halloween overtone. And probably should mention that this is directed by Shane Black. Who is a bit of a critical darling actually for a lot of people. Directed or wrote the Lethal Weapon, created
the
characters,
the initial Lethal Weapon films.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Iron Man 3.
I don't like Iron Man 3. Let's forget that it exists. But he has had a hand in a lot of the action films of the 90s that you really love. You're like, oh, I wonder who wrote. Oh, it was Shane Black as well. I wonder who directed. Oh, that Shane Black created character. He's good.
He has a bit of a knack for doing quippy kind of dialogue in an action context. And if you really think about Lethal Weapon, that's all it is. So hopefully the Predator will sort of go down that same road, but from the looks of this, what basically happens in the trailer is a piece of alien technology is sent to the house of a kid basically, and
10-year-old boy playing with it in his basement on Halloween.
Yep. And it turns out that these little pieces of equipment that he is playing with control a giant spaceship, which then crashes to Earth. It then crosses over to another character who is sort of being interrogated.
Yeah, he's, your gruff 30-something mercenary. He works for the military. He was an assassin. He stumbled across the alien tech that he shouldn't have. I have extrapolated, and I don't think it was actually explicitly said in the trailer, that he's then sent the alien tech off to his brother to keep it from the government.
Yep.
But I don't think that's actually in the film. Cue the, we sent in your men, what happened to them? And you see Olivia Munn and Keegan-Michael Key and Alfie Allen. And it's like, oh yeah, this is a, 10 men enter, 1 man leaves sort of Predator type thing that we've all come to know and love.
Yep.
I hope they do it well.
Yeah.
It looks like a good, fun, actiony thing. Yeah. It's got, again, with these kids walking around at Halloween, it's got these sort of E.T. overtones, which I'm like, this is a bit weird for an action film. So not really sure what's going on with that one, or if it was just for the trailer, if it's going to play into the film at all. Yeah. I think it's got a really good cast. It's got good opportunities to be fun. It's got some good people on board.
Yeah, some good talent on board. So who knows? That may not be a complete disaster. That'll be out later this year. All right. Those are the 3 films for this week's episode. But of course, before we do anything with one of those or more of those films, we're going to have to take a little walk over to the green room.
All right. So I believe I chose last week.
Yes.
And so it's you're up this week to pick a film. We'll do a brief recap.
Yep.
We have a Mexican drug cartel story.
Yep.
We have a social media / missing kid thriller.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a action sequel reboot Alien 10 men enter, 1 man leaves. Scenario.
Yep. Okay, so it seems like the 10 men enter, 1 man leaves kind of scenario seems right up our alley.
It does, and I apologise for the gender bias on that one. 10 people enter, 1 man leaves.
I followed suit as well, but I'm actually going to sort of go in a slightly different direction.
We've been choosing the outlier, as Malcolm Gladwell would have us believe.
That's right. I actually want to go for the Mexican drug cartel film Loving Pablo.
Interesting.
Now, I do want to dictate something here on the offset. So you mentioned earlier on that when you saw the name Loving Pablo, you assumed and even from the opening shots of seeing Javier Bardem, that's like, oh yeah, he could play Pablo Picasso.
Yeah.
So the one thing I want to be absolutely crystal clear on, and one thing that we need to do is we need a title that is so ambiguous that you think it might be for something else.
Yeah.
It might be for a completely different film. But then you watch the trailer, or you go and see the film, and it's like, oh shit, that's not what I expected at all.
So is it someone's name and there's ambiguity in the name?
I like the idea that it is someone's name. So we can either make up a name or sort of make up a character who is sort of like a legendary, almost like a Robin Hood-esque figure, perhaps. Not to say that Pablo Escobar is a Robin Hood-esque character, but maybe someone who's engaged in what would be nefarious and criminal activities to one group of people, but to another group of people, it is liberation and good times and all that kind of stuff.
The only thing that's stuck in my head is like something Salvador, and I'm like,
Okay.
oh, is it Salvador Dali?
Salvador Dali, yeah.
No, it's just set in El Salvador. And it's
Alright, so we call it-
exactly the same thing.
So we call it Salvador.
yeah.
The film. So this is
Salvador Daily, and it's just the day-to-day grind of living in El Salvador,
in El Salvador,
which I think actually might be like a bit of an like idyllic paradise, and
Yeah.
not run rampant with
probably
drugs
not. Yeah.
at all.
But is that too much of a pun? Like Salvador Dali, Daily?
I don't know.
I think if we just call it Salvador, it's ambiguous. So people might think it's like, oh, this is a biopic about Salvador Dali. But it's not. It's literally about El Salvador.
It could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Or San Salvador,
San Salvador.
which is the capital of El Salvador.
Okay. All right. Even better. Let's do it about that. That makes it a bit more localized.
Yep.
Okay. I also think we need to open up the film with like an actor who kind of looks like Salvador Dali as well.
All right. So Salvador Dali is very thin.
Yep. With a pencil mustache. if I
Pencil
recall,
mustache
like
and that
curly.
very sort of plastered to his head sort of comb over hair.
Yep.
Who would be a good Benedict Cumberbatch has a
Absolutely Benedict Cumberbatch. You put him with a little bit of prosthetics and some facial hair, he'll be perfect as our pseudo Dali. But he's only in there for like a minute.
Yes.
And then it's gone. So you like, that's the thing. That's how it should start. We should basically, for the opening, maybe let's say 5 minutes, we sort of focus on Benedict Cumberbatch as pseudo Dali.
Yeah.
But then he just vanishes. Like 5 minutes into the film, he just disappears, and then the film takes a dramatic turn into something else.
So I have a feeling that one of these South American countries, and I can't remember if it's El Salvador, might have like pristine, untouched, idyllic jungles.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm thinking if we're going to go with that criminal underbelly,
Yep.
it could be animal smuggling
Yeah.
instead of drug smuggling.
Great.
So there's like this demand in America for exotic pets.
Yep.
And that's the lengths that people go to
Yeah.
poaching these like your little marmoset sort of like and bright parrots and stuff like that from the forests of El Salvador.
All right, I have an idea. What if we actually scrap the idea of this being confusing as to whether it's about Salvador Dali, El Salvador? Why don't we just make the hero of the film Salvador Dali?
I was about to say when you killed off Benedict Cumberbatch,
Yeah.
I'm like, but I could have thought like this is in 19 I don't even know where the
I think it was in
1930s,
30s or 50s.
when
Nah, he was alive in the 50s, I think, as well.
I think the
He's probably still
surrealist
alive.
movement was like 20. It started in the 20s,
Yeah.
sort of post-war Dada-esque.
Yep.
So this is like as a young man, trying to learn how to paint with vibrant colors.
Yep.
He's gone to this vibrant jungle.
Yep.
And it is Salvador Dali.
Yep.
In El Salvador.
Yep.
And there's this rampant sort of animal trafficking.
Yeah.
I think there's going to have to be some Fear and Loathing style
like
drug trips where
drug
he sees
trips,
like those melting clocks that
Yep.
he's so famous for in The Persistence of Memory.
Yep.
Sort of comes into play as he sort of sees things warping.
Yep.
There's got to be sort of proto drug trade kind of stuff in there.
Absolutely.
So definitely guys on motorcycles practicing how to shoot out windows.
Now, is this going to be... Is Salvador Dali, is he going to be a character that is fully aware of what's going on and he's trying to stop it as a kind of like archetypal hero? Or is this going to be like a Mr. Magoo...
The Man Who Knew Too
kind
Little.
of like, yeah.
There's the fantastic Bill Murray. Like, Mr. Magoo's a bad example because that's horribly done. The Man Who Knew Too Little is such a good film where
Yep.
Bill Murray gets embroiled in this plot, this secret agent plot, because
Yep.
he thinks it's all a game.
Yeah.
A little bit of Both,
bit of both,
maybe.
maybe?
I don't know.
Or maybe he thinks he's stumbling on a situation that is, he doesn't realize how bad it is. So maybe he might think it's something innocuous, like, I don't know, they're like, someone has stolen a cat.
Yeah.
Like his next door neighbor.
He doesn't realize that it's a rare endangered species ocelot.
Exactly.
And it just happens to be, and he's just like, oh, he's just looking for someone's cat.
Yeah.
But it is like this sort of like, the last of its species, albino snow ocelot.
We're turning him into like Inspector Clouseau, but not the like original Inspector Clouseau, like the really horrible Steve Martin.
Oh no,
Inspector Clouseau.
Speaking of people with pencil thin mustaches and horrible accents,
there we go.
I'm sure Benedict Cumberbatch can do a better Spanish accent than he can American accent. And he's earned enough money from those Marvel films that he probably doesn't even want to be paid for this one.
Absolutely.
Let's think about some auxiliary characters. There's got to be someone who is like a bit of a freedom fighter.
Yep.
Who he's just kind of like along for the ride. Like finds something interesting about that person.
Yep.
And tags along with them because he's just like, I like what's going on here. I don't really care about your freedom fighting, protecting the jungles, nature way, but there's something interesting about them. Maybe we start the film and he doesn't have a pencil thin mustache.
Oh, yeah, great.
And then there's this character in the film that does have a mustache, and he becomes so enamored with the idea that he's following this person around until he can emulate the perfection that is that mustache.
Maybe that mustache is like a symbol of the freedom fighters, right? So the leader has it, all the other followers have it as well, but he doesn't notice that. He doesn't realize that it means something more significant than what it is. He's kind of like, he sees it everywhere. He hasn't got one yet, and he's like, I really want one.
I backtrack on my original idea.
Yep.
And he does have one.
Okay.
People mistake him for being in the freedom fighting group.
Great.
Because of the pencil.
Can we do like, maybe we could do, because he's all about surrealism. What if the opposite, like the actual head of this freedom fighting force kind of just looked like Salvador Dali as well? And so there's a kind of like mistaken identity thing going on there where he's embroiled in this thing. And doesn't realize why people are like coming up to him and
saying,
like,
the clocks will melt at midnight. And he's like, what does that even mean? And then he gets this brilliant idea. Can you look up quickly, or even ring the Academy?
Sure.
And tell if they can describe to me what a golden marmoset looks like? Because I feel as though the marmoset, or at least one sort of subspecies of that tiny little endangered primate, has like a little curly mustache thing.
You might be right. Hang on a sec. I've just got to tell the Academy to spell it correctly, because right now they're describing it to me now, so I'll just relay to you what they're describing me. So it's basically what looks like a sort of small monkey, but bright orange. Doesn't have the pencil thin mustache, unfortunately. It has more of like a lion's mane.
Oh, it's not really what I'm thinking of.
Not quite what you're thinking of, no. So you're thinking like we need an animal that has a pencil thin mustache. Maybe it's like a lost species of El Salvador.
There is one. There is one. The Emperor Tamarin.
Oh yeah, that is 100. I mean, it's not really pencil thin. It's more like bushy and quite magnificent, actually. But I like where you're going with it. So, does that particular animal reside anywhere near Salvador?
I have a feeling Tamarins may be Asian. Oh no! Wait! In East Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil,
yes,
and the Amazon.
Yep.
That is absolutely close enough.
Absolutely.
See, there we go. There's another one that's absolutely. It's got some styling wax. It must have had some styling wax to get that happening. Absolutely. This is why this sort of freedom fighting group has grown these bizarre mustaches.
We'll put these images up on the Facebook page.
The Emperor Tamarin is an endangered species.
Yep.
And maybe this is a cousin of the Emperor Tamarin.
Yeah.
That has even sort of more.
It could be like it's a rare offbreed of the species.
Yeah, exactly. That's only found in El Salvador.
Only found in El Salvador.
Explains why it's not in Peru or Bolivia or Brazil. Exactly. Even though those countries are close, they're not all exactly the same.
No. Great. So, our freedom force, are they fighting an opposing force who is trying to
Absolutely.
steal these animals or
Yeah.
trying to harvest these animals? Maybe they're trying to harvest them for the mustaches, right? So they're, you know how we talked about in our whale-based film, they're trying to get the ambergris
Yeah.
from those whales. Well, maybe they're trying to get the curly mustaches from a marmoset, and so they've got them all like chained up in a makeshift salon, and they're just harvesting marmoset
in
mustaches.
a bizarre twist of fate.
Yep.
It's Salvador Dali who has popularized the
Yeah.
pencil-thin mustaches, and people can't grow them, so they have to harvest the mustache hairs from the tamarins.
Yep.
To make what do you call fake beard? Merkin's like a different kind of weave of chest hair.
Yep.
It's not a toupee.
I have no idea.
Whatever comes between those two, like literally
A faux stache.
between a merkin and a toupee, whatever fake hair people can glue to their upper lip to pretend that they
okay.
have a mustache.
So hang on. Let me clarify this story. So there's an evil group of people who are stealing and harvesting tamarins,
Yeah.
putting them all in a salon and like clipping off their mustaches so that they can supply those mustaches to people who want the pencil thin mustaches that are popular in El Salvador for the moment.
Yes.
Salvador Dali turns up with his curly pencil thin mustache.
Yep.
And is instantly seen as as someone who is like he is in charge of the movement, or
Is he? Maybe they think that. Yeah, it's much better if they think that he's in charge.
actually, he's in charge of the group that's stealing the
bad
tamarins.
guys. Yeah,
and then
exactly.
the guys that are freedom fighters who are fighting against it.
They
who are-
kidnap him,
Yeah.
thinking that he's the leader, and
Yep.
it turns out that he's not.
He's
but he
not.
has a hard time convincing them that
That's
he's
right.
not.
Yeah, Mr. Magoost.
Mr. Magoo, the man who knew too
Inspector
little.
Clouseau style.
Yeah, exactly.
Great. So it's like a mistaken identity kind of film. We're dealing with the harsh realities of an animal. What do you call
Trafficking,
it?
harvesting,
Animal
poaching.
trafficking
Poaching.
group. Yeah, poaching.
Yeah.
Sure. And we're dealing with it in El Salvador.
In El Salvador. We've got some more casting. Who was the guy that Benedict Cumberbatch is supposed to look like, who has been mistaken for...
Okay, so we need like an opposite, like here, the actual...
Yeah, exactly.
The actual leader. Who looks like... I mean, no one looks like
No
Benedict Cumberbatch.
That's the problem. That is the absolute... like, he's such a weird-looking man.
Yeah, I mean...
Sharp features, sharp face.
I think we're just going to have to CGI... The
See, I was thinking, we were talking about Iron Man 3 earlier because of Shane Black. I feel as though Ben Kingsley would be good in that role, but looks absolutely nothing. We would have to give Ben Kingsley a wig, like to make him look like Benedict Cumberbatch.
I honestly think that like Ben Kingsley, when you dress him up and give him the mustache, probably looks more like Salvador Dali than Benedict Cumberbatch does.
It's true. Maybe we go with, considering he just played Poirot in Murder in the Orient Express, Kenneth Branagh. I think Kenneth Branagh and Benedict Cumberbatch could probably be mistaken for one another if you only heard their voice, and that way we get them both to do, even though one of them's a Central American animal trafficker and the other one is a Spanish artist, they both speak with the same British accent in our film.
Yeah, that's fine. Again, Death of Stalin style, where everyone's in a British accent in that.
So Kenneth Branagh and I think there's got to be a head of the Resistance.
The Resistance, yeah.
And again, going to, I think Olivia Munn would be such a great casting, fresh off The Predator, which I think I'm just, there's certain actors that are on the brain after talking to films. I think she'd be great in that role as well.
Okay, that works. Do we need anyone else? Surely there needs to be.
I think Salvador Dali rocks up to Central America to San Salvador with a retinue, like a butler. He's got his own personal valet or valet. Or how that is pronounced.
Pretty sure it's a valet.
But I actually think valet is someone who parks your car, but valet is like a manservant who follows you around, possibly.
Okay.
I'm not really sure what the difference between the two of them are. I've heard it pronounced two different ways.
Either way, it's someone who does something for you.
Exactly. And obviously this guy, because Benedict Cumberbatch is about 7'9", and this guy's got to be like the opposite sort of He's
What,
short. He's a little bit sort of rotund.
Oh, Danny DeVito then.
He's not
for sure.
Jack Black. Like, Danny DeVito's way too old. Danny DeVito's like 80.
Is he?
He's not
Really?
80. He's not 80, but he's very, very old.
He's quite old.
Jack
yeah.
Black is that kind of, but a shorter Jack
Shorter
Black.
Jack Black.
And a little bit more demure. I think Jack Black would try and steal the film with his comedy antics.
Yep.
This is more like your Stephen Zahn, sort of, who played that role in... what was Matthew McConaughey was in the Clive Cussler Sahara?
Oh gosh, yeah.
So it's that role, but not played by Stephen Zahn. And I just don't know who would you
I mean,
would
why
cast
can't
in
we
that
get?
role.
Why can't we just
Can we
get?
do Tom Holland?
Yeah, we could do Tom, but I mean, he's not the right shape at all. We're gonna have to fatten him up
a bit
quite
digitally.
lot.
I just watched Spider-Man:
Digitally.
Homecoming. It was very good. I like him in that film. I think he could absolutely be. He's supposed to be like a protege. Like he's got rich parents who have sent him to study art under Salvador Dali, and Salvador Dali just treats him like a butler.
Yeah.
So you got Tom Holland,
Great.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Olivia Munn, and Kenneth Branagh.
You know what's great about Tom Holland as well? He's British. So his accent
They're
will fit
all
in
speaking
perfectly.
British.
Olivia Munn's American though, so we're gonna have to.
She's the only one.
have to get accent coaching to be British.
Well, to be fair, she could also probably in the universe that we're creating, the very diverse and broad universe, the only one native to the Americas.
Okay.
Because the poacher is just an opportunistic guy. Could have come from anywhere. So,
sure, yeah, he could be like a big game hunter from England.
No, it's from Spain.
From Spain,
because obviously they're all speaking Spanish. So people who are from Europe, and speaking with a British accent are actually speaking Spanish with a Spanish accent,
right?
And people speaking English with an American accent are actually speaking Spanish with an American accent,
right? Okay, again, Death of Stalin style, where
exactly.
everyone is speaking English in an English or American accent, but they're actually speaking Russian.
Yes, but in this way, they're all speaking Spanish, but the ones who are speaking it with an English accent are from Europe, and the ones speaking with an American accent are from the Americas,
right? Okay.
And that's how you distinguish it.
Perfect, so clear, so easy,
very, very easy
to follow. Okay.
Normally at this point we say the only thing to come up with is a film title, but we've already called it Salvador.
We've called it Salvador.
And so I think that's it.
I think that's a wrap. Yeah. Brilliant. Salvador. See it next week when we put it on the Fuzzawudda.
Exactly.
Okay, housekeeping as per usual. We are online at moviefilmstudios.net where you can find all of our previous episodes, some bios of us, and of course, Mufuzawudda, which is a database of every single film that we have ever released.
We really need to do some more movie posters. I was on there recently. I'm like, I like the titles. I like the little synopses.
Yep.
Need some movie posters.
We do need some movie posters.
You know who might be able to do some movie posters? Our legions of adoring fans. So if any one of the 12 of you... I keep saying 12. I've only seen the numbers once, and apparently we get 12 listens a week. Want to make some posters? We'll start putting them up.
Absolutely.
There's a few there that I wouldn't mind having a crack at as well, but it's just a matter of finding time to sit down and do it. I really want to do... Billy versus the Machine, but it requires me to go out and find an air hockey table because the stock footage pictures of the air hockey table are from the wrong angle, and then you can do the crazy neon 80s style fonts with the metallic sheens. I think stripped/striped would be quite good because I think it's just Hobbs sitting back to back with Garfield in the middle of the
but
page.
We can't. We decided not to use any of those characters for fear of copyright issues.
Maybe we just blur their faces then. Like, the criminals being put into the back of the car, we did not agree to be on TV kind of
Okay.
blurred face. It just sort of says like stripped till striped. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, if you want to get in on that, simply join our Facebook page, search for Movie Film Studios on that platform where you'll find us and a whole bunch of Russian bots. We post emoji clues as to the trailers that we've watched in the upcoming episode. And we've also expanded it to use Google Translate.
Google Translate, I'm not really sure.
We could probably do Google Translate for this one. Salvador, sort of...
No, I mean, the ones I've got to do are searching... loving Pablo and the Predator.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I thought the Google Translate game would be a lot more fun, but Google's quite smart. It has an auto-detect feature, so if you paste a word in there, it'll auto-detect the language.
Yeah.
So I put it in, like, Nepalese.
Yeah.
You don't actually have to, like... go through and try and guess that it's Nepalese. It just kind of knows.
Yeah.
I'm like, Google Translate ruining my games. Put it into Babelfish. I don't think Babelfish was that smart. So if you want a bit of a challenge,
if you can find it, is it still around?
I don't know. Probably go to Alta Vista and search for it.
Ask Jeeves. We are possibly planning a leaderboard for that game as well. At some point, so that'll live on that page.
Yeah, if you want first get points will get 3 points, and I'll put up a leaderboard. Not really getting any serious contenders. Lots of jokes out there.
Plenty of jokes.
I mean, baseball detective. Thanks, Dave. That's exactly what it looked like. If you'd gone to the trailer page and saw the catcher was a spy, maybe. But like baseball detective, probably also an equally good name for that film.
I kind of want to make that film now. Can we make baseball detective like at some point in our We'll make it a TV series.
I think so.
Yep. All right, great. We're on Twitter. Again, don't bother. And we're on iTunes, Podbean, and any other place that you get podcasts. Give us a rating on any one of those particular platforms that you use, because they do help. They give us a nice little feeling inside that we're wanted and loved.
I think we're up to like 6 ratings on iTunes now.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Not too bad at all.
They're all 5 stars, except for one from our friend who decided to rate it.
Our baseball detective friend, Dave.
Okay. And I think that is it.
I think that is. All that remains is to thank you once again for listening this week. I've been Isaac.
And I've been AJ.
Roll credits.
Watch